My BF cuddled a girl on vacation and now I am questioning everything. My boyfriend and I have been together for 4 years. We are from different countries and survived doing 5 months long distance during COVID, getting through university in different cities, and are about to move in together in May. We recently went on a trip to Southeast Asia together. I've backpacked a lot before we dated, but my boyfriend never really got this experience and really wanted to make the most of it before he starts his full-time job. Because of this, we traveled together for 3 weeks, and then he booked another 3 weeks traveling with a male friend. I came home because I have work. I supported him in doing this because I thought it was something he needed to get out of his system and experience, and I didn't want to limit him. I have never not trusted my boyfriend. Sometimes he goes to parties without me or goes on short vacations with guy friends. He's always been very communicative and loyal, so I never had any issues. Genuinely, our relationship hasn't had any major issues in the last 40 years, and I really felt like he was the one. Some people even made comments to me vaguely referencing the hookers, drugs, etc. in Southeast Asia, and if I was worried about my boyfriend, but I genuinely said I wasn't. Him and his friend made friends with a group of backpackers while doing a popular tourist route. They traveled all together for around 10 days. It was a mix of guys and girls. Yesterday, the group members went their separate ways, so now it's just him and his friend. Today, he FaceTimes me and immediately says that when he was on the trip, there was a girl he felt a bit of tension with. And on the last day, he was really sick, and she brought him some medicine, and then they cuddled. He said he felt super sorry and guilty, and that's why he wanted to tell me right away. He also said he had never even looked at another girl our entire relationship, but because they were all traveling together, it happened. He also said it made him sure how much he loves me. I was in complete shock with this because to me it felt like such a cliche, and because I have always trusted him, I never even felt I had to worry about this. He definitely could have not told me at all because I would have never known, so I'm inclined to believe he is telling the truth and it didn't go further. But is something like this the nail in the coffin? Do you think it's just the beginning of shady behavior, or can it really affirm his commitment to me? I feel really sick about this. Less the actual cuddling, no kissing, etc., but just that he began to like and develop feelings for someone else. I moved from my country to be with him, and everything was so perfect until now. Do you think this is something to forgive? You moved cross-country for him and he's cuddling other women. What do you think? He also said it made him sure how much he loves me. I think I would throw up if I heard this. WTF. Maybe you should go out tonight and see if you're sure you love him. Woofed. I couldn't imagine cuddling someone else if I was in a committed relationship. I suppose what I couldn't get over was that I would have never done that to him. Would I be the antagonist if I bought my own designer handbag because my husband refuses to? In the last few months, I, 29th, have been wanting something nice for myself since I realized I'm a lot older now and have been both working and saving so much. I don't own anything designer and any purses I have are from 2014, 2018 and $300 or less. I feel like now is a good time to treat myself with one nice handbag. My husband, however, is not a fan of this idea and literally gets upset when I talk about wanting a designer handbag around $2,000, $3,000. I've brought it up multiple times and he will tell me I'm being irresponsible. I'm a huge red flag for wanting one, and he doesn't want to talk about it anymore. He said a financial advisor would say, "This is a bad idea." Over the last 3 years, our combined household income has always been around $260K, $300K, and we both got increases recently. That'll now put us at around $365K. Our monthly expenses are low, and we have been contributing over half our incomes to retirement accounts. Both our companies offer additional retirement accounts we take advantage of. We do not have kids. He has no personal debt. We do have 2 mortgages. One house is currently being rented out at $2K MO, and the house we live in is $2,100 MOA. I cleared all my personal debt in February 2020 on my own. I mainly spend money on food. I have always worked full-time and contribute to our joint account. I have 6 figures saved for retirement and growing. I also have $25K in a personal investment account before marriage. You can imagine how much he has saved that I have no desire to touch. Would I be the bad person if I used $2,300 from own personal investment account to buy a designer handbag for myself? He claims I want to buy it using his money, so would this be a good solution? Not the antagonist. You made a good case that you can afford it, and it's a treat for yourself. If you're using your own personal investment account, it doesn't affect his finances. Just be clear with yourself that if he wanted to spend his own $2,300 on something you thought was silly, it would be okay with you. Do you need it? No, don't. Do you want it? Yes. Can you afford it? Yes. Are you an no, ain. Husband's being ridiculous. Your husband can buy a $6 death toy, but you can't buy a $3 bag. Friend's BF is forcing her to stay with him via a financial contract. How can we get her out? This is a situation involving 2 friends in a relationship where the female friend, 24 years old, is being financially exploited by her boyfriend, 37 years old. The boyfriend continues to take the girlfriend on expensive vacations and outings, leaving her with substantial debt. She is now on the verge of losing everything, including custody of her son. The boyfriend manipulates her by adding the expenses she incurs on their trips to the money she owes him. He has also made her sign an agreement stating that she must pay him back with monthly installments. Additionally, he refuses to sleep with her until she has paid off her debt to him. The boyfriend is also a heavy drinker and creates scenes in public, accusing the girlfriend of causing trouble and then love-bombing her shortly after. Despite this toxic behavior, the girlfriend is unable to leave him because she loves him and can't afford to pay the remaining debt she owes him. It is evident that the boyfriend is taking advantage of the girlfriend and manipulating her financially. She is unable to make her own decisions and feels trapped in the relationship. She has tried to earn extra money through freelance work, but he discourages her from doing so. It is important for the friend seeking advice to intervene and help her friend get out of this exploitative and abusive relationship. Well, she has to leave first, to protect herself and worry about the debt later. The contract is probably hot garbage. Let him try to sell the note to a collection agency, and that $15 will get knocked down to $5 or less overnight. The contract is nonsense. Talk to domestic violence advocates or a lawyer. He can't keep her in debt slavery. Am I the antagonist for selling my stethoscope instead of giving it back to the family? I'm, in my 20s, female, from an immigrant family in the United States. There's a stereotype among members of my community that only a handful of jobs that are acceptable to have, for example doctor, lawyer, engineer. That pool is smaller when you're young. Even though I wanted to study linguistics, my family refused to let me study anything other than nursing. I hated nursing, and the year I graduated was 2020. So instead of a congratulations from my family for doing what they wanted, I got thrown into the emergency room and forced to risk my life for others. The only acknowledgement I got at the time that I did right was a card that I promptly threw away. I finally quit a couple of years later. The final straw came when I worked in the emergency room following a mass casualty event. I told my supervisor that I quit. To prove my point, once I got home I got rid of all my nursing stuff. The silly mugs and best nurse trinkets went in the trash. I burned all my scrubs on the grill. I even shredded my diploma. By morning it was gone. A year after I graduated, my parents gave me a stethoscope for my birthday. I sold it and used the money to go back to school. My parents always talk about how much I disappointed them for quitting nursing. Well, my mom called me and asked if I still had the stethoscope. My cousin, who is less of a disappointment, is graduating from nursing school, and my mom wants to give her my stethoscope since I'm not using it anymore. I told her I didn't, and that some medical student in San Antonio has it now. She asked why and I told her that I sold it. She flipped out and started screaming at me in Spanish. That I was ungrateful for all the sacrifices she and my dad pulled to put all us kids through college, and the least I could do was give back the, very expensive, stethoscope and give it to someone who will use it. She broke down crying and said some things that hurt me too. I'm still feeling guilty about this, and my roommate agrees with my mom. Even if I hated my job, I could have given back the stethoscope. I did destroy $1,000 worth of stuff they gave me. Problem is that my community is very biased, and most people tell me that I'm ungrateful and a failure. And I just want an outside opinion. Am I the a-hole? Not the antagonist. You were pushed into a profession you didn't want, and receiving a gift does not entitle them to control its use. Their expectations were unfair and your actions were justified. Also, the value of the stethoscope they gifted you was not as high as they thought, making their demands even more unreasonable. I was planning to propose to my girlfriend, 29F of 9 years. I, 31 years old male, and my girlfriend, 29 years old female, met and started dating while we were in college. We've now been together for 9 years, and I'm just amazed how someone like her even exists. She's sweet, adorable, kind to a fault. However, she always puts everyone else before us and prioritizes our happiness last. Some backstory before we get to the present. During the summer of 2021, I proposed to her and was turned down, telling me it wasn't good. I understand that I could have made her proposal more grandiose, but I didn't have anything planned and decided to just rely on a spontaneous moment to present itself. I thought watching sailboats at sunset, after a fun date at a small amusement park-like setting, rope courses, kayaking, arcade, etc. And prior to dinner was the perfect time to ask her. Mind you, we've been together for over 6 years when I decided to ask her, and she said she wasn't ready, and that she told me she wasn't ready, a year prior to me asking. This is where, sure, I could have done better to accommodate and gotten a little more of a feel for where she was at more prior to the spontaneous proposal. Regardless, I got rejected for her reasons, critiqued, and our relationship dynamic was slightly different from that point on, but she told me to ask her in 2 years. I told her that I'd ask her in 1. Compromise. A year goes by and I didn't ask her, outside of me teasing her with the occasional, "Gosh, I can't wait to marry you someday. What are you doing tomorrow? I hear City Hall has a beautiful venue." I decided to honor her request to wait 2 years. The story get a little weird as it may be hard to believe that our parents hadn't met until over 6 years into our relationship. Her mom was coming up to stay with us one weekend, and I took it upon myself to ask my family if they'd want to come up and meet her mom and if they wanted to grab dinner. Only my parents accepted, and it was a really nice dinner. I adore her mom and my parents and are hit it off well. Because I invited my entire family, my sister asked me if I was planning on proposing, as it has been about 2 years since I'd asked before. Funnily enough, it was 2 years to the date. I confirmed this by a photo I had from that date day on my phone, and the timestamp was exactly 2 years. I laughed and decided to joke with my girlfriend when we got home from dinner that night. I was helping her get her mom settled into the house before bed, and I decided to tell her how my sister made a joke about it, and I showed her the uncanny timestamp. She laughed and said, "Haha, no." I replied, "No? I'm not asking you to marry me right now." She then responded, "Oh, I know, but no." I was devastated. We are now over 8 years into this relationship, and I felt in the exact same place as we were 2 years prior. She and I talked about this after her mom's stay, and I told her how her response absolutely gutted me. She apologized and said she didn't mean to hurt me, but she's still not ready, but she's close. I'm sorry, but I'm finding it really hard to understand what's changed. Since then, I had planned for a date over the holidays this past year, 2023. But her asshole friend ended up killing her desire to even discuss anything engagement wedding related, so I had to forfeit and admit defeat again when trying to plan a thoughtful proposal. My girlfriend had mentioned the year prior, 3 days before Christmas, 2022, that it'd be nice to be proposed during this time of year, so I frustratingly planned for the future only to have her loser friend to ruin the plan. 370 days worth of planning gone down the toilet. I had an emotional breakdown in front of my girlfriend over this because I was continuously getting devastated by the attempts and the failures that are out of my control, and I'm losing interest in asking, which is something I don't want. I love her so much and know that she's truly one of my soulmates I'd encounter in this life, but I'm struggling. We cried and found ourselves closer again after talking it over. We try really hard to communicate, as that's something her parents don't do well, and I can tell that she's been left a little apprehensive in regards to relationships and marriage as a result of her upbringing. Now for the present problem. We live in an area of the world that'll experience a solar eclipse this year. I originally really wanted to get married on the day of the eclipse, but again, I tried and failed to meet the time frame for my girlfriend. Right person, wrong time. Okay, fine. She knows I really wanted to do a wedding during the eclipse and have a really special wedding that all of our guests would remember to years and years to come. When she told me that I should give up on trying to get married that day to maybe try proposing on the day of the eclipse, sure, not as romantic and symbolic as an exchange of rings while a huge ring is looming in the sky overhead, but sure, I'll compromise. The eclipse is quickly approaching, and I've told her to clear out her schedule as I have plans for us. I had plans for us to picnic with all of our favorite foods and walk a dog from the local shelter. We do this approximately 2 times a week as we're trying to wait for the right dog and just enjoy the exercise and the puppy dog kisses. I was planning on proposing again. This time she's given me the okay. But wait! Now her college roommates are inviting us to a party for the eclipse. You want to go to Ginger's and Skip's eclipse party? No, not really. I asked you to clear your schedule and to plan for a fun date day. I like Ginger and Skip, love their company and truly value their friendship. However, I know Ginger would lose her shit if I told her what I was planning and try to get involved. I also know that if I asked my girlfriend in front of her friends, that she'd feel trapped and uncomfortable, and I'd like get a yes that she's not happy with, or I'd get publicly rejected in front of all our friends. I don't want anything complicated and had laid out my plan already. I was taking a day off from my business to prepare the food for our picnic, and here I am now getting burnt again. And I have no idea how to rectify this situation and to follow through with my date with my girlfriend. Any advice on how to rectify this situation and not humiliate my girlfriend in front of all her friends? It's clear she's not interested in getting married and is stringing you along. It's time for a serious conversation and maybe couples counseling to see the truth. If she can't meet your desires, it may be time to end things. There's no need for unnecessary drama in your 30s. Either accept the current status or move on to find someone who wants the same things as you. My husband got angry at me in the airport and is traveling separately. We have been together 10 years. This isn't the first stupid fight we have had while traveling, but there have been enough of them recently that I'm questioning what I'm even doing here. We had a fight before we got to security that made him embarrassed and furious, and he started walking really fast, acted annoyed at me when I did not try to keep up. I was walking normally and he is way taller. I'm not going to jog. And then told me he wanted to navigate the airport separately because he is tired of me walking slow on purpose and not paying attention to things. He begins walking ahead of me, and despite a couple of attempts from me to patch this up, he ends up getting to our gate without me and sitting on the plane next to me but acting like I am not there. The cause of the fight almost does not matter, but when we arrived at the airport for a 5 a.m. flight, we were waiting in line for the airline check-in desk to open. It was 2:45 a.m., and they did not open until 3 a.m. When it looked like an agent was turning on the self-help kiosks, I told him I was going to go see if we could check in there. He apparently misunderstood my plan, and in the meantime, the agent arrived at the desk, and he was stuck with both our bags and could not get my attention despite calling my name. He felt angry and embarrassed, and was mad at me for walking off and leaving him with the bags and not hearing him call me. I had already checked us in, so it was really no harm done, but I understand why he was upset. I think if he had tried to talk to me about it and asked for an apology, I would have apologized. But he decided that he's done traveling with me and essentially started giving me the silent treatment. I tried approaching him at first in a friendly way and telling him I did not want to be in a fight. We argued and he said I ignore him, and I do not communicate with him, and I make us late, I walk slow on purpose, etc., and he is sick of it. He accused me of gaslighting him when I disagreed with how he characterized my behavior. I eventually told him I was sorry it happened and I would communicate better next time. I have caused issues in the airport before that made us late and stressed him out, so he is not wrong about that. But his solution today is to act like we are traveling separately so that he does not have to deal with all the things I do that annoy him. I think this is ridiculous behavior when we are supposed to be starting our vacation. I have tried to write this in a way that does not make him sound like a total jerk, because he is very sweet and caring at other times. But travel and airports cause him huge stress, and we really rub each other the wrong way when traveling. We are both low on sleep and have been stressed at work. But this behavior feels like such a massive red flag that I am not sure I can brush it off for the sake of the trip. How do I approach this when he does not think he has even done anything wrong? Is this a reasonable thing for someone to do? How frequently do you have these anger fights with him? How many other similar examples are there each year? I'm sorry, he's stonewalling you for multiple days because he couldn't get your attention while you were talking to the gate agent? Am I understanding that correctly? How fragile is his ego that he's this embarrassed about standing with your bags for a couple minutes? Why did he even need your attention at that moment anyway? You didn't owe him an apology in the first place. He needs to deal with his own frustrations about the airport without lashing out at you. Is this how he always handles conflict? Blaming, overreacting, the silent treatment. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.